Alrighty, I think we'll go ahead and get started. So, hi everyone, thank you all so much for being here. This is our Keys to College webinar. This is hosted by Circle K International, which is the college level of Key Club and the Kiwanis family. And this event is specifically put on by our Kiwanis Family Relations Committee, which is a group within CKI that puts on events for you all. So let's go ahead and get started. If it changes. Also, before we start, please be sure to join the Mentimeter. You can do so by scanning this QR code or typing in the code by going to the website menti.com, and it should have a little pop-up for you all. But to start off, we want to do a little fun icebreaker. So if everyone could use the little pin function, you can put on where you're from. And then while you guys are doing that, Brianna and I will go ahead and introduce ourselves. So my name is Neha. I am a third-year student at Ohio State University studying operations management with minors in public health and leadership. And I currently serve as the International Vice President for OK International. And Brianna?
Hi, I'm Brianna Terhune. I am a first year history major on the pre-law track at the University of Florida. I'm getting a minor in education and I'm technically graduating next year. I'm just getting a little bit of a head start. And I'm the vice chair of the Kiwanis Relations Committee for Circle K International.
Perfect. Okay, our map's getting full. Looks like we have quite a
Yeah,
few of us from the US. And I see
couple
someone
few.
over here in Asia, Japan or China, maybe Korea. I'm not sure. That's awesome. See a few friends from the Caribbean. Oh, how exciting! Awesome. See a little count. I don't know if you guys can see the counter on the side. It's showing me how many of y'all have responded, but exciting. Keep getting those in.
Italy, look at that.
Wow, that's so
Canada.
cool. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Well, I will say most of our college advice is focused on, our experiences applying to colleges within the US, but I think a lot of the advice, especially about how you all can kind of use your Key Club experiences, is going to be relatable for everyone. But yeah, I'll hand it over to Brianna to talk a little bit about today's schedule and then walk us through some of the information we have for you all.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for coming. So, just a little overview of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking today about choosing a college and application tips. We're going to be doing a breakout session with current CKI leaders. And then to kind of capstone the night, we're going to be doing insights from a key club and CKI alumni, Amber Morgan. All right. So, the first thing that I really want to talk about, which is the beginning of your application, is choosing a school and creating your list. These are some of the big ticket items that most people worry about, but I'll do a more general list later. So, location. Do you want to be somewhere near your family? Do you want certain weather? Do you like the warmth? Do you want to be up north? What's the job market look like? So, after you graduate, a really important thing to think about is will you be able to find a job from that school and in that area? So, that's some things to consider. And then the size. Do you thrive in big cities or small towns? Because if you want to be somewhere like New York, maybe ending up in a rural town isn't going to work for you, and vice versa. If you want a college town, maybe New York isn't for you. And then big lectures or small classes. This can really make or break your experience with learning because if you're someone that really needs the individualized attention, these are some things to pay attention to. And then type of education and career prospects. So many schools specialize in a couple different areas. So STEM, humanities, hospitality, the list goes on. So when you're making a list, you don't just want to think about the college name, you want to think about what they're actually doing and what areas and avenues they're leading within. And then more personal is what type of education are you looking for? Do you want something focused on liberal arts, engineering, classical, or something completely different, maybe agriculture? And then some more things, campus culture. You're going to be spending a lot of time at the university. So think about what things you want to be doing. Are you someone that wants a social and collaborative environment or somewhere more competitive? Same thing with different, like, kind of categories of school, I guess. SEC in the South, a historically black college or university, technology school, the list goes on. Think about what things really are important to you and make your list around that. Same thing with choosing on-campus organizations. Do you want to volunteer like CKI, which I think you should all do? Pre-professional like pre-health, pre-med, pre-law, religious, interest, or athletic organizations. These things can really contribute a lot to the actual experience you'll have at whatever school you choose. And then grade metrics. This one I talked about in the last webinar, but it really does impact a lot of things, especially if you're pre-professional. So some schools only offer an A, some schools offer an A plus. So an A plus can be weighted at a 4.33, which can be weighted differently when you apply to grad school. So knowing if you're going to have the opportunity to get an A plus on your transcript versus only having an A does make a big difference. And you don't have to get every single one of these things, but these are things to really consider when you're looking at what schools you actually want to go to and why. Again, this is not a complete list, but these are some really important things. So if you're looking for inspiration, feel free to take a picture of this because we already did talk about it in the last webinar. All right, Mentimeter. What factor is most important to you? For me, I think that cost and probably weather were very important to me, aside from just, getting a really solid, well-rounded education. Location, this is true. Key Club, I'm so happy. Cost, yes, this is true. Community. Brianna, that's funny. Scholarships, success after university. These are all true. Dorm life. Wow, okay, this is great. I'll let more people get in before we move on. CKI. I'm so happy to hear that. We love the K family. Honors program. Honors programs are very helpful. I know a lot of them get early registration. Thank you guys for answering. I'm really appreciating this. Christian based, yeah, religious affiliation can be really important for some people. Friends, that's true. Communication. All
Matt,
right.
I see your name is pretty big. If you guys don't know the word cloud, it shows like what a lot of us have been responding. It shows the bigger words. So I guess a lot of people are really important based on their decision off you.
Yeah, I've got a real fan club. Appreciate it, guys. That's so nice. Thank you.
Marching band.
hmm
Community service. Dormant education. Christian base. Yeah, there we go. Punctuality. I'm a very punctual person. I also value that. Vibe. Friends. Greek life. Punctuality. School spirit. Go Gators. Size. So, what I think we can kind of gather from this Mentimeter, not that all of you are done, is that a lot of different factors matter to people. For example, fraternity life is something that might be at the top of your list or might be at the bottom. Or same thing with football or community service or punctuality or religious affiliation. All these things matter to different people. So, knowing what you want and what you want to get out of the college experience is really important when you're thinking about where you want to go and realistically where you want to apply. Because everybody is looking at different things, it seems. Maybe Matt Ellis, maybe that is the tie that binds everyone together. So, more on the college list. When you're applying, you want to think statistically. So you want to mix a range of safety, target, and reach schools. So a safety school is somewhere where your SAT and GPA are significantly exceeding the medians. So somewhere where if the median is, say, a 3.0 and you have a 3.5, that would be somewhere where you're exceeding it exponentially. A target, your SAT and GPA are within the medians. So maybe a little bit higher, a little bit lower, but they're pretty on target there. And then a reach school, your SAT and GPA are below the medians. So that's somewhere where you might not be the average student, but there's still a shot you would be reaching to get there. And then a little bit on safety schools. Not every school you apply to has to be your first choice. You can apply to a couple safety schools and potentially use money to bargain from other schools. So if your safety school is somewhere you still want to go, but you got in somewhere else that is offering you money, you can go back and ask for more based on other admissions. So if cost is something that's important to you, this can be a really good strategic measure. And then applying to more schools allows you a literal safety net to ensure that you get at least one admission, so you're not going to university at all. So it has a fallback plan. But just because it's your safety doesn't mean that it has to be a bad school. It can still be one that you love and enjoy, just is within the range of possibility. And then balancing your list. This is really crucial. You want to have a mix of safety, target, and reach schools to have the best odds. The recommendation for college applications range from 5 to 8 to 15 to 20 schools a cycle. So that can be whatever you feel comfortable with. And then, but that's just general guidelines from what I've heard and research has told me from college admissions. And then apply to schools where you would realistically go, not just because they're prestigious. So if you know that cost is important to you and you realistically wouldn't maybe be getting a full scholarship, or the weather's somewhere that's really important to you and it's way out of your comfort zone, don't waste your time and money applying to schools you would never go to, even if you were accepted. And then research. Like I said, not just overall rank. Don't only listen to news report. Look at the quality of specific programs you're interested in. So just because the hospitality program might be super high, maybe you're applying for STEM and that isn't their focus. Look at what you're actually going to be studying and the actual professors and labs and research opportunities that are there. And then things to look for, you want to look at employment rates, median salary, starting salary, 5 to 10 years post grad, see what you will actually be making, and then look at soft factors like we talked about in the Mentimeter. I already talked about this kind of slide in the last one, so for all of our returning people, I'll be brief, I promise. But as you can see on the slide, there's four main different types of applications. If you are dead set on a school, early decision may be for you because it's binding. Early action is not binding, but if you're on top of things and you want better odds, try for early action. Regular, still perfectly fine, but it's not binding, so you can kind of cast that net a little wider. And then rolling, I would personally try to aim for regular, but some schools only offer rolling, and that's perfectly fine as well. And then types of applications. This is mainly for our American audience, but Common App opens in early August, and that's the primary way of applying to schools. And then you can look at prompts and kind of get a feel for it now, so that way you can see what you're going to be doing this summer. And then Coalition is similar to Common App, but it has a couple little differences like the way that you interact with the dashboard. So I would be aware of what you're looking for based on where you're applying. Same thing with QuestBridge. They're all going to get you to apply to certain schools, but the user interface can be a little bit different. So I'd be aware of what you're actually applying to and what program and like kind of launch pad, I guess, you're using and how to work with it. And then personal statement. This is where we've already talked about making your list and figuring out where you're going to apply. This is where we get into the meat of the application. So this is arguably one of the most important parts of your application. It can really set you apart. So when you're starting, my advice to you is write a terrible essay first. Take everything that's up here and put it here. Put it on paper. And then once you get all your emotions, all your thoughts out, go back and clean it up. Because let your raw emotion and how you feel and the story you want to tell come out, and then you can go back and polish it. So, some things you can think about when writing your personal statement is your sense of community. Everyone belongs to different groups and communities. Think about what makes you unique and really, shapes your worldview or something that you looked at differently or something you value, and maybe write about that. And then when you're looking at personal statements, you can also be thinking about research, professors, college, employers. These are typically the different buckets of where you'll be sending a personal statement. So you can utilize that to think about who will be reading it because it's probably not going to be another student. Think about what they are looking for and what will entice them. And then schools know you're great. A lot of kids are great, but let them know how you'll fit in the campus. By just talking about the fact that you have a high SAT, that doesn't necessarily show that you're going to do well on campus. So think about what that campus culture is like of what you're applying to, like all the factors we talk about, and how you will integrate well with them. And then applying to the arts. So this one is unique because it's not just like the Common App where you're writing essays and your GPA and SAT. So start thinking about your portfolio, your video, interview, auditions, and then start preparing early. So applying to the college and the art programs, you want to be early. I say this again later, but on time, early is on time is late. Look into schools and see and get your art application in as soon as possible. Oh, also, do not use generative AI. AI is not something that you should be using to write your essay or help or themes or topics. Stay away from it because if they find out, they will cancel your application. They will not accept you. Your best bet is to just use yourself. Don't look for outside help. Ask your teacher to review your essay. Don't ask AI. And then when you're talking about what you're actually writing in your personal statement, think about activities. Colleges want to know how you spend your time outside of school and why you do it. So for me, I ride horses. It's not enough to just say that I'm on the equestrian club. They want to know why I'm doing it, what fulfills me, and what gratifies me in that activity. And then start documenting events that you plan and activities you organize now. So if you led a key club initiative, like you did, I don't know, peanut butter and jelly for the homeless, write that down, what you did, how you did it, and what you learned from it. These like quick, simple thoughts you can have in the moment will help you later because you're not going to remember every single thought you had. But by writing it down in a binder, Google Sheets folder will help you think about it later, even if you're not applying to colleges now. And then even doing activities in your senior year, work with that. Write it down, put it in a binder, get yourself some divider tabs, and just make sure that you have everything organized because that's going to be a big help no matter when you're applying. Oh, this is true if you look at the chat. Programs like Grammarly is detected as AI even if you use it as spell check. It can still set off the AI alarm. So even Grammarly, your teachers know how to write. I promise you that. If you have questions, go to them for help on grammar. Don't use the internet. It's not going to serve you. And then letters of recommendation. So we've kind of been moving through the process. SAT, GPA, those are kind of set in stone. Personal statement. The next thing that you should be really focusing on is the letters of recommendation. Letters of recommendation are very considered for a lot of colleges. So make sure that you're making those connections with your teachers and cultivating relationships so they can write a meaningful letter. So letters of rec, we all know that we need them, but they're useful for more things than just college admissions. A lot of jobs, scholarships, and other things ask for them. So get them early. You do not know when the next scholarship is going to pop up or when you're going to be applying to another college. So really work on getting that out there. You should be talking to teachers early. So if you have a teacher your junior year that you know you want to use their letter, get it in now so it's fresh in their brain. So if you're a senior and you're asking for a letter from someone your freshman year, they're not going to remember everything. Ask them now so all the good, positive things they know about you are still up here and not trying to get lost when they're writing it out. And always ask for extras because sometimes a teacher gets busy. Maybe the essay didn't turn out or the response didn't turn out how you want. Make sure that you ask enough teachers that you have extras to fall back on. And then ask for a scholarship letter of rec first. So a lot of times you waive your FERPA right when you're applying through Common App, which means you will not be able to see the letter of recommendation they write. But if you ask for a letter of rec for a scholarship that's open, you can see what kind of things they'll write about you, even if it's not the same letter that they attach in the Common App. You can still see what they're highlighting and what they choose to focus on. And then choose people who actually know you. Just because you got an A doesn't mean that you should be asking them for a letter of rec. Choose someone who got to know your character, what you bring to the table, and more of who you are as a person. So, recommendations with your brag sheet and asking. When you are asking a recommender, give them a nice sheet full of your experiences, your location, your honors, awards, one sentence with more application and details for your scholarship or college that you're applying to. And then when you are giving them this, give them a lot of time. You should be asking at least 1 month in advance. Do not stick this on someone last minute because getting a good letter of recommendation takes time. Your recommender has so many things going on in their life, whether they're a teacher, a parent, leading things outside of campus. They have so many things that you can't be piling this on at them at the last minute because one, it's disrespectful and rude to try and take that time away from someone last minute, but also you probably won't get the highest quality recommendation if you're asking late. And then in terms of who you're asking, you want to get at least two faculty members, so teachers or maybe your coach, and then one outside of school resource. So think a employer, a outside of school coach, a mentor, etc. And then colleges have or requirements for STEM and humanity letters of recommendation. So make sure that you're being careful of what that is. So if they ask for a science teacher, make sure that you're not attaching your English teacher. And then, like we said, we recommend your English teacher plus major related. So English can really speak to what you're writing about. And then maybe if you're a biology major, your biology class or another science related field. So I talked about the brag sheets, but this is an example. So you want to talk about things that are relevant to what you're applying to. And then this is not a formal document. Your brag sheet is just a document with bullets. You don't need to worry about formatting in like an essay. Keep it brief, keep it simple. And like I said, 1 month in advance. Be kind to your recommenders, be courteous. And then FERPA waives your right to read it. But like I said, I would personally ask for a scholarship letter first because you'll get a better idea of what they'll be talking about. Interviews. So, interviews can happen with many things, whether that's jobs, scholarships, or college applications. But eventually, you're probably going to have to do one eventually. So, if it's in person, dress professionally. And if you don't know what to wear, look at Google or look at Pinterest. They have a lot of great ideas. Personally, I'll type in business casual, business professional, professional attire for interviews. A lot of different things will come up. Even if you type in-person interviews, high school dress code. You'll probably get something. Dress to impress. And if you're unsure of what to do, ask your school advisor. They will probably be able to give you advice. And then some places that you're probably going to have to interview or people that will be hearing your interview are college alumni, admissions officers, current students, etc. So any one of these people could be interviewing you, but the same thing goes. Be early. Early is on time is late. Dress professionally and send a thank you email the same day. Thank the interview and recount some of the conversation highlights. This really goes back to you want to stick in their brain. You want to be unique, you want to tell a story, and you want to remind them of what the story is. And then be you. Don't try to pretend to be someone you're not, just highlight who you are. Financial aid. This one, I know that in the Mentimeter, cost popped up a lot. So there's a lot of different ways to achieve financial aid. So we talked about this a little bit the last time, so thank you for all our returners. But scholarships, grants, and self-help come in a variety of ways. But something I really want to focus on is that many scholarships come from outside resources. Ask around your local scholarships or search on niche. Search your niche. Parents' work, your job, local community, sport, special interest, or hobby. There are a lot of unique ways to get it. And what I can recommend is ask your parents, ask your school, ask your job, ask around, Google. If you do the research, you will probably find something that can help you. And then scholarships. Scholarships can scam you. I would personally take a picture of this if you feel any worry about this. But if they're making you pay to apply, you're probably not on a real scholarship. And then research the scholarships. Make sure you're not giving your information out to a stranger that's going to steal it. And then prioritize your scholarships based on your qualifications. If you don't think you have a high chance of getting it versus when you do, go for that one first. And then track your deadlines and make sure that you're focusing on what needs to get done. And then again, as I said before, focus on things that are local or niche to you. And then these are my kind of general tips for the whole cycle. Remember that college decisions do not determine your worth. You'll be successful wherever you go, but these are ways that kind of help you get to that point. Use your personal email for everything. If you're using your school email, chances are you're not going to be able to get into it like all the time. You want to be able to have constant access whenever you need to email someone and not worry if you're going to get locked out. Spreadsheets are your best friend. You want to be tracking everything that you're doing, every application you're sending out, every single person that you talk to. And then check portals and emails frequently. As I said, you want to be able to respond quickly. If there's an issue, an announcement, a decision, you want to be on top of that because if an issue does arise, you want to get in quickly and get it resolved. And then file the FAFSA early. I know some people can be hesitant on the FAFSA and wanting to give out all their information. I personally had that issue, but talk to your school counselors, talk to people that can help you with that because there are so many resources if you ask, and make sure that you're getting that in early, especially if you're applying to the United States. And then it's okay to plagiarize yourself. Reuse your essays on multiple different things because rewriting a new essay for every single college or every single scholarship is not realistic. You will not have time. And then for interviews, make sure that you're prepared. Dress professionally, know what you want to talk about, and just be you. All right, now we're gonna do some fun stuff. What about when I get to college? What do you do then? Join CKI. We do service, leadership, and fellowship. Those are our tenets. We are one of the world's largest collegiate service organizations, and we're the college branch of Key Club. Circle K International has over 6,265 members across 334 clubs and 29 districts. Some of the membership benefits of being in CKI go beyond just being part of the largest college student-led organization in the world. We give you community, leadership, learning, networking, and service. But we also offer so many more things like an alumni network, scholarships, global leadership certificate, liability insurance, and so many more awesome discounts, grants, and awards. Some of our service initiatives are childhood development, food and housing insecurity, mental health, and environmental justice. Within these, we have a lot of different projects we get to work on. We partner with UNICEF USA, the Nature Conservancy, Active Minds. These are our three big partners. All right. If you're not answering that response, what are three words that come to mind when you think of Key Club? Service, leadership, community. These are good ones. Community, leadership, service, yes. Fulfillment, usefulness. I'm glad you guys feel useful. Caring. How did I get a letter of recommendation? Good. Take classes in high school that relate to what you want to do in college. Perfect. Connection. I love that you guys are connecting with people. That's great. Community, helping, caring, helpful, networking. This is true. Dedication. That's a great word for Key Club. I learned that biology classes are crucial if you want to work in the medical field. Yes. Connection. Support. I like that. These are all great words. Bonds. I like that. Making people happy. This is humility. Friends. I've made so many great friends through both Key Club and CKI. That makes me so happy. You meet really fantastic, driven people through this program. Kindness. That's also a great one. All right. What are three skills you've learned from Key Club? I know that I have learned more about public speaking. Punctuality would be one of mine, and I think helpfulness. Just learning how to be attentive and aware and mindful of how I can be of service to other people in my community. Organization communication, event planning, yes. Discipline. You have to have a lot of discipline to make sure you're getting everything in on time. Publicity. Public speaking, yes. I used to be far worse at public speaking than this, but Key Club and CKI have really helped me grow. Creativity, resilience, being creative. Wow, you guys are having really great skills. I'm so glad. You learn a lot from Key Club. Also, public speaking, this is true. Consistency. I like that. Adaptability. You must adapt under pressure. Service leadership. Friendliness. Awesome. Good work, guys. How do you feel after a service project? I like to start. I think maybe that helps people give ideas. I feel rewarded. I would say I feel almost empowered to do more and probably excited. I always feel like a passion and excited to do something again. It's like, wow, this was so great. How can I do more of this? Tired. Yeah, sometimes you get worn out. Happy. Awesome. Like a leader. Everybody should eventually try to lead something. That's always very helpful. It gives you a new perspective. Fulfilled, satisfied, joyful, compassion. So glad you all have such positive experiences. Happy. I like these top ones. These are great. Passionate. Confident. I like that. I think being able to lead and commit to something and see the fruits of your labor really does help you grow in your confidence. All right, and now I'm going to hand this over to Parker now.
Hi, I'm Parker. I'll talk about utilizing some Key Club experiences. First, you want to quantify. You want to describe your service hours, how many funds that you've raised with your fundraising, and the number of people that you serve. This demonstrates impact because while you can describe that you increased membership or made this amount of money for fundraising, putting it into perspective is really helpful for when you're interviewing or just chatting about your accomplishments. You also want to use action verbs, led, organized, coordinated. This really puts a positive light on your application or interview because more passive tones will seem more like you just participated instead of actually actively doing something. You want to connect your why. These people are meeting a lot of other future college students. They really need to know what makes you unique, why you care so much. It really humanizes you and it really makes you stand out. You also want to show your growth, how you can change and highlight your progression. Also, apply your Key Club experience. This could be how you contribute on campus, like things with CKI and leadership, or it could be for a job interview. A lot of times they'll ask you a question like, how would you react in this situation if there's a problem? And you can use your past experiences as an example, or you can rely on that problem solving skills to answer the question. And then also, where can you utilize these Key Club experiences? First is scholarship applications. So a lot of scholarships will ask for examples of how you led. Personal statements, why you're in Key Club can be very helpful for your personality and why you're doing this. Interviews, like I said, a lot of people ask theoretical questions. And then if you answer those theoretical questions with previous experience, it really makes you look better. And then CKI, you can use your leadership skills, you can bring your volunteering impact into CKI.
Thank you, Parker, for telling us a little bit more about how you can actually take Key Club and use it in real life. So, to cap this off a little bit more, we're going to hear from our Key Club and CKI alum, Amber Morgan. She is a current medical student, UF alum, and past CKI international trustee.
Hi everyone. Some of you guys have already had the chance to meet me because I did hijack one of the breakout rooms a little bit. But hi, I'm Amber. I am a current medical student at Nova Southeastern University. It's a small private university here in Florida. I did my undergrad at UF, so go Gators. If you have any questions about UF, me and Brianna can help you. And yeah, so I can talk a little bit. If I see a question here, I can address it. But some points I wanted to highlight. I've been in the Kiwanis family forever. I was in Builders Club, Key Club, CKI. So if you have any questions about the Kiwanis family, I'm happy to answer. And I just wanted to highlight some key points that I learned in Key Club and in CKI that are still helping me to this day, believe it or not. First thing is communication. I know you guys have talked about this a lot, but in Key Club, you learn a lot of good communication skills, especially the written ones. So when you're looking to email professors for rec letters, when you're looking to like email them for internship opportunities or advice, they really appreciate when you're respectful and you're very clear in your emails because sometimes if you're very vague about what you want or you're not professional, they don't appreciate that. And it's so important to build that rapport. And of course, my public speaking has improved drastically. Someone else already mentioned that. I won't harp on that too much. Your mentors in Key Club can still help you. Please keep in contact. Same with CKI. I see a ton of questions. I'm keeping this brief. And friends, because your friends in Key Club can help you adjust in college, especially if you all go to CKI together. So let's see if I can actually read some of these questions. Was it easy to be elected as CKI trustee? Is it a lot easier than Key Club? So that's a bit of a long answer, so I'm going to give you a very short one. You can email me for more info later. But I was never a Key Club International trustee, just a CKI International trustee. And easy is not the word I would use for it. It was a long journey to get there. I was in district for a very long time where I got a lot of the experiences that helped me become a trustee. The election process went very smoothly for me. I'm very lucky that I was able to attend ICON. I was able to go through all the breakout rooms without an issue. Sometimes there's hiccups, technology, COVID, because I experienced COVID in my Key Club days. So if you want to learn more about how I became trustee, please email me. I'll put my information in the chat after this. Brianna or whoever's controlling the screen, can you point to a question for me to answer? Because
Yeah. No,
same
I got you. I got
question.
you. Let's see. One of our questions, can you tell us a little bit more about how you studied for the MCAT? And then I see another question is about how you balanced CKI and being a pre-med student.
Absolutely. So first I'll talk about the MCAT. The MCAT is this big, daunting exam, and it is brutal, but you have to take it step by step. So first things first, the MCAT has a lot of different subjects on it. Chemistry, biology, physics, sorry. I don't know if you like physics, but I don't. It has reading, the cars section. I forget what that stands for. And sociology, psychology. I recommend you take all of these classes before you even start studying for the MCAT, if possible. You have to plan that well in advance. So sometimes you might be still taking a class while studying. I spent the whole semester before my MCAT studying. So I took the MCAT in January, which is the spring semester. And so I spent the fall semester studying. I personally did a prep course because I needed something to hold me reliable. I know plenty of people who didn't use one. If you're able to, I know it's hard as a pre-med, try to reduce the amount of classes. I usually had about 15 credits, but that semester I tried to reduce it. I think I was at 13, which is only a 2 credit difference, but it made a difference. So I
Mhm.
highly recommend that. If you're able to plan right as you get into college, all of your classes, not always possible, but give yourself a vague idea. It'll help you plan for the MCAT and plan for that medical cycle. It also help you determine if you need a gap year or not. And then what was the second question? Oh, how to balance it.
How to balance. Hmm.
So if you if you don't use an agenda or you don't use Outlook calendars, I highly recommend you get in the habit of doing that. I am a paper and pencil girly. I mean, I literally have my notes in front of me. I got very into Outlook calendar. Thank you, CKI. I had to do it for international trustee. But planning every bit of your day really helps. And knowing how much of a commitment every class is. Oh, Outlook calendar. Sorry, I should have specified. If you have a Microsoft email or like my school emails Microsoft, you can use that Outlook app and it gives you a calendar. Google Calendar works the same way. I'm just not as familiar with it. So whatever software you use, I'm sure Yahoo has one, but whatever you use, I'm just using Microsoft's version. So, but whatever you want to use. And my biggest thing was planning out everything and trying not to stack a lot of heavy classes on top of each other. I was guilty of it my first semester, I will admit, and it was brutal. So maybe don't try to take physics and calculus in the same semester if you can help it. Try to balance your electives with your core classes because that will definitely help your time management. And sometimes it's about prioritizing. And studying is very important, but sometimes you need some personal time. And to me, that break from studying was CKI or another service org, or I even joined Gator Star Wars and Quidditch. Like I had a bunch of random things.
Mhm.
So the agenda, to-do list, prioritizing, all important. Okay.
Thank you, Amber.
Yes, I do know
Um,
math.
yeah. Next question. How has CKI kind of helped you with building those professional skills that you maybe didn't get in Builders Club or Key Club?
So let's see, I'm trying to think. So in Key Club, I was decon chair for 2 years. So decon chair in the Florida district's the person who plans the big district event. I don't know if you guys have been to that. I imagine most of you have. It's pretty big feel in Key Club. And so I got a lot of event planning experience. But when I got into I actually got into some executive roles, treasurer, secretary. And I'm going to highlight secretary specifically. In CKI, I was the email person. If you got an email, it was from me in Florida District. So those communication skills, I was constantly having to write professional emails. I was constantly having to write, like, every club had to be sent certain information about what their stats were and whatnot. And I learned how to organize all of that information. I had spreadsheets galore. I learned how to be concise in my emails, highlight the important information. I also learned the importance of following up. Don't be afraid to double email or double text. I'm guilty of that. I know there's taboo in that sometimes. But in CKI, I really learned that importance of communication. Yes, I learned it as decon chair and key club, but CKI just highlighted that even more, especially because we're college students and it's not like we're seeing each other every day in class all day. Our schedules are different, our majors are different. So trying to stay in communication was a little harder. And that is still true to this day because, yes, my classes are the same as everyone else, but my professors are on different schedules. We have students in different years on different rotations in different locations. So trying to keep in contact, that was probably the biggest thing I learned in CKI, along with my public speaking, because trust, in medical school, you do a lot of talking. I have standardized patients I go into and I pretend to be their doctor. And I'm like, hey, this is what we're going to talk about today. So,
Perfect. Thank you, Amber. I think our final question, since I know we're getting close to time, is for all of our students here on the call, maybe what's one piece of advice you have for how they can kind of utilize their Key Club experiences and have a good college application season?
yeah. So, ooh, college applications. A little bit while back for me, but
Mm-hmm.
I've learned this in college applications. I've learned this in medical school applications. It's not about what you did, it's how you did it. So in your college apps, in your professional apps, in your work applications, your anything, talk about what you did, like how you got involved. Oh, I worked and did this project for the homeless, but what did you do specifically? Oh, I reached out to other organizations. Oh, I invited the students. Oh, I coordinated with other district leaders, whatever it may be, because I learned they want to know. I think someone said this earlier really well. They want to know what you do and why you do it. And I'm trying to think of how to word this. Write like you're already in the school. And I know sometimes that can be scary, but that was probably the biggest piece of advice I've been given and when it comes to applications or scholarship applications or anything. Don't say, oh, I would join this club if you accepted me. No, I will join this club,
Mm-hmm.
or I will participate in this research, or I will take this class with this professor because I'm interested. And I think that really made my applications a lot stronger. And it's one word, I would to I will. So keep that in mind when you're doing applications. Be confident. And like someone said, applications are not your worth. You will end up where you're meant to be. Trust me, I got rejected from about 20 something medical schools, but I'm in medical school now, so
Mhm.
you will end up where you're meant to be.
Mhm. Perfect. Well, thank you again so much for joining, Amber. We really appreciate it. Um, yeah. Alrighty. So just to wrap up our webinar today, we just want to remind you all that whatever you're doing, do it for you. Like Amber said, like this is a huge decision and it's okay to look at different options and ultimately know that you will end up wherever you're meant to be. But we really hope you all took a lot of good information away from our event today. I especially want to recognize Brianna for leading our Kiwanis Family Relations Committee as well as, of course, Amber for being on to share some insights. But we hope this was very valuable for you all. And again, if you all have any questions, feel free to get connected with your local CKI leaders, reach out to a club that's maybe near your key club, and feel free to ask them any advice. You know, we all went through this process a couple years ago with going through college admissions, and for most of us, we were able to utilize those key club experiences. So good luck with all of your applications, and thank you all for joining. Be sure to scan this QR code if you're interested in joining CKI, and if you're not a senior, feel free to invite your friends who are seniors, but we are hosting a Key Club Senior Night on April 6th. So stay tuned for registration details. But yeah, thank you all again so much for joining. And again, if you have any questions, we're happy to stick on at the end. But yeah, thank you all for being here.
Something else I just wanted to mention, the Key Club Senior Night, April 6th. So just like this one, it's going to be a webinar where you're going to RSVP and then you'll get a link. So make sure that if you're wanting to do that, you plan accordingly.
Mhm.